Okay, awesome. Let's get started then. So let me go to. Okay, can you guys see this? Can you see the presentation?
No.
Okay, maybe I'll just do it this way. This. All right, I think that's the best I can do right now. So welcome. I'm so glad you guys could make it for the first meeting. I sent you the agenda ahead of time, but I'll just quickly go through it. So the objectives for this meeting are to go over the Student Ambassador Program timeline and kind of how it lines up with the Technovation program timeline, and go over the monthly reports that the student ambassadors are all expected to submit every month, the same week that we meet at the end of the month. And I'll go over what those reports will include. We'll go over any questions you have about action plans and what your definition of success will be for your Technovation Club in your area. And then go over some workshop ideas for fall, or just questions you have about finding resources, or who you would be targeting for these workshops. And then other information moving forward, like office hours that I plan to be holding by like making myself available on Slack at certain times to answer questions, and then also going over finding local organizations or accelerators that you think Technovation alumni would be interested in working with, and then a final Q&A and any action items for the next meeting. Any questions about that?
Oh, no.
Okay, cool. So I'll move on. So for program timeline, I kept pretty much what we had for the original training when you guys were here. So recruitment should start ASAP now that you guys are back in school. We will be sharing materials with you guys that we're currently working on, and I think we're aiming for September, end of September, to share those with you, and those will be marketing materials you can give to the girls. We'll probably,
I'm gonna mute most people's mics because we're getting a bit of background noise.
Yeah, sorry. Something's going on outside my window.
That's okay.
think,
If you want to
yeah.
talk, you can just let us know in the chat and I will unmute you.
Thanks, Amy.
Sure.
And then, so we'll be sharing those materials, and then on top of that, I'll be putting all of those and any materials you've received so far. So like the Student Ambassador Workbook, this presentation, and then the catch-up training presentation in a Google Drive folder that you can access at any time. So you don't have to be looking through your inboxes. And I'll do that today. And then the rest of the materials will all just be saved there, and I'll let you know as new ones are saved in that folder. We're still aiming for registration October 1st. So anytime after that, the girls should be able to go on the platform, register, and then the first 3 units will be available in October as well. And the rest of it pretty much the same. I think the only thing we were thinking that might change for this year, Amy, correct me if I'm wrong, but is maybe pushing back World Pitch a few weeks. But we're still trying to figure out how that would work with the school year, with the timing.
Yeah, so what we hope to do this year that's different is have everyone start a little bit earlier. And we're going to have a few pre-units this year, so you can work with your teams to know if you think that they need a little additional time to kind of wrap their minds around learning the technology platform and other things. We'll have a timeline that's available for you to see really soon. I'm just
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, I'm just muting you guys for the time being because we're getting a lot of background noise. So if you want to say anything or do anything, just let us know in the chat and I'll unmute you. Hi, Grace.
Hi, Grace.
Yeah, since we started, Grace, Consolee, and Mala have joined. And
Great.
Desleen now too. Hi, Desleen.
Welcome. If you missed just the first part, it was just going over the agenda. I'm gonna see if I can. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm just. Okay, so back to the program timeline. Then you mentioned trying to give you guys more time, and we'll send out a more finalized timeline soon. Moving on to monthly reports. I know you haven't received too much information about this uh, after your initial training, so definitely want to make sure that this is a priority. It's something that we are requiring of all the student ambassadors, and I think it'll be really important just to track your own personal progress as a student ambassador and on the ground. So what these will be, it should be pretty simple, just email form. I'll send out a template, and you'll just email it to me directly on the Monday of the week that we meet for each monthly meeting. So the first one will be due in September, September 26th, and we'll meet at the end of that week, so Thursday or Friday. And the purpose, yeah, like I mentioned, the purpose of these is to track your relationship building and your growth of the Technovation program on the ground, as well as, what challenges are you facing and what areas do you need support in. Um, will also be an opportunity for you to share any fun photos or anecdotes or quotes from your community engagements or activities that you'd like to share with us and maybe the larger Technovation community as we build out our alumni newsletter and considering including like a student ambassador section. So it'd be really cool to have everyone in the alumni community see what you're doing and get really excited about engagement opportunities after they finish the regular Technovation curriculum. Um, the Yeah, the reports will also include description of whatever activities you did that month, so club meetings or any like office visits or like if we kick off those accelerator and like local organization partnerships, maybe like what's going on with that. Um, and then like the number of girls that you've reached out to or that you're targeting that month. And like I mentioned, any areas that you need support in. So, um, any questions regarding that? You guys. I'm gonna manually unmute everyone.
So I have a point there. This is Amy. Hello. I've been working with master educators, and I had a very simple template just for bullet points. I'm sure Crystal and I will talk about this after, but we don't want to burden you with these reports, but we just need a few bullet points of, how what some of your challenges have been throughout this month, what cool things have happened, and then maybe a personal anecdote or story to demonstrate what's going on. So that will also help feed into visibility for you guys so you can see what's going on, and people can know what you're doing too.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't have to be like narrative form. It's not like an essay or anything.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, it should just be a very like simple framework. I just wanted to describe it more fully to you here, but in the report it'll just be like very simple. A couple bullets in each of these like areas.
And then the cool thing about that is Crystal will be able to see your reports before your next meeting so she can kind of synthesize all that's going on with you guys. She'll have time to adapt the content of the next meeting in case there's something that a lot of people are having issues with or trouble. So it'll also help make our meetings for you a lot more productive and interesting.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Amy.
Sure.
So if nobody has any questions regarding that right now, there will be an opportunity for Q&A at the end of the meeting. So yeah, okay, I'll move on. Um, so I just wanted to touch base with you guys again about your individualized action plans. I received a couple of them from you guys, and I know you had some questions about metrics for measuring your success. Before when you were here, you had talked about what are the leadership qualities that you have that you can use um, in your communities, but you weren't sure how to like quantify success and successful execution of your action plan. So I just wanted to see if you guys had any ideas or any questions, and maybe Amy, you can help out with this piece if you have any contributions to how they can measure or define success for
Yeah,
themselves.
so measuring success is always very fun, interesting, and also can be a bit tricky. So there's definitely ways you can quantify it by making number goals. Like I want to reach out to 50 people because my goal is to get 25. So when you're making metrics to achieve goals like that, it's always better to aim high and then have a more reasonable expectation for yourself that you're not going to attain all of those people when you're recruiting, but that, you at least have something to work towards. So what we're asking a lot of master educators and student ambassadors to do when they work together is to set a number for themselves for how many people they want to have in their club. And we're going to be helping give you some of those numbers. For instance, we'd like each Technovation Club to have 25 students, and that could be 5 teams, it could be 6 teams, something like that. And then there's also, the things that you measure that don't have numbers. One great thing that Annika shared, and we'll probably revisit this, is she had a list of questions that I thought were absolutely fantastic. How do you want your students, your teams to feel after they've left a workshop with you? So there's the number thing, but then there's the gut instinct, the feeling thing. Are they energized? Are they motivated and excited? So there's definitely, quantity and there's quality that you can try measuring. And if you guys have specific questions about that, definitely bring them up in the Slack channel because I have access to that too. And Crystal and I will be doing everything we can to give you guys resources. And if you find new resources about measuring success, this would be a really good time right now while you are building your action plans to figure out other means and methods for doing that. But we'll definitely give you some suggestions.
Yeah, yeah, and I think another like important thing to note, like Amy said, that some things are not like numbers related when you're measuring success. One of the things that's for me personally really important is relationship building. So if you can connect one girl with another girl that's interested in coding or in STEM, I think that's successful. Um, that's a good outcome of
Yeah.
the work that you're doing, and that's not necessarily something that you can measure.
Mm-hmm.
It's just building that feeling of community. So just think about how that applies to your individual community and find ways to include that in your action plan when you submit it. Um, on another note, for the action plans, if you haven't sent them to me already, please send them to me by September 1st. I will regard that as like a final draft and then give you feedback within the following week, so that by the end of the first week of September, we have your um, pretty much finalized action plans, and then we can start moving forward with the other pieces like the workshop and then recruitment on the ground and all of that. So, does anybody have any questions? Amy, can you see the chat? Is there anything going on in there?
Oh yeah.
I can't.
Um, yes, there is a question. Can you write that question in the chat, Grace? Just waiting. Until then, you can move forward, and I'll just summarize any questions I get or see in the chat, or just ask them.
Oh, okay, because it's not on my screen right now, so I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
Yeah, there's nothing else going on in Slack, so you're all good there.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
Um, I also wanted to start talking about workshops. I know a couple of you have reached out to us already with some ideas, and so I wanted to gauge how comfortable you guys are with, um, I guess, just starting to plan the workshop. Like, what do envision? How do you envision a workshop like being executed in your school or in your community, and you know what resources are available to you already, and where do you need us to support you? Like, will you be needing space or the marketing materials or transportation? And do you know who in your community can provide that? Um, Amy, do you know about workshop planning?
This is Amy. I think one thing I'll bring up is that, well, before some of you joined, Krisha was saying that she and Annika want to lead a workshop. So I think the next step here will be to decide when those will be, who we can connect you with, such as a master educator in your region. And if there isn't one, then we can maybe find someone like a different coach or mentor who really stood out who could help you. So, okay, great. Someone asks, okay, how are we going to work with the master educators and how should our action plan look like? Do you guys remember in your workbooks that we gave out during the in-person training, we had a template in there about what the action plan could look like? So I would
Yes.
recommend that you guys look at that. I forget what page it's on right now, but if you look in the index of that workbook, you'll find it. So that's the best place to start. And we might, Crystal and I might decide that we want a little more detail, such as, do you need transportation money to get students to your workshops?
Right. Yeah. So in the workbook, I have it right in front of me. The pages are 11, 12, and 13.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. So that includes a table where you can write in your objectives, the tasks, so your success criteria, the time frame that you think you can complete each task in
Mhm.
within, and then the resources that you'll need for that to complete that objective.
Great.
And then to answer the how will you work with your master educator, um, Amy, how would you like to do this? Should we just email them by region or?
Yeah, so I think next week I'll have time to definitely map out who the master educators are that correspond. I know offhand that some of you have master educators in your regions, like Krusha, Jasleen, Grace. Corinna definitely has Sarah Hoy, and I'm not sure about Consolee. Consolee, where are you again? Are you in Cameroon? I think you are.
No.
So we have a master educator from Cameroon, and we'll hook you up. We'll introduce you all to your master educators that are near you. And if you're not, then Crystal and I will introduce you to somebody we think you might be able to work with. So someone who's an adult who has served as a coach or a mentor. And the idea there is for you guys, the master educators will most likely be focusing on the resources that are needed in order to lead a successful workshop or a launch workshop. And you guys, we hope that you will go on the ground, talk to your friends, find people who are more your age to talk to about how cool this program is and what you learned from it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
what we envision with a kind of partnership for this.
Right. Yeah. Um, they have that as one of the so connecting ambassadors with master educators, and then having them start their conversations um, as one of the action items for the next month. So, um, okay, so other information. So if no one has any additional questions at this time, I will move on. Um, so I was thinking of doing holding office hours every month, like every other week, uh, which would just be like a block of time for me to be available either on Slack or via email or just on Google Hangout, and you can join and just ask questions, throw out ideas that you want feedback on, or just to interact with other student ambassadors in a more informal way, um, as a way to keep us all engaged and connected outside of these larger meetings. I know that you guys don't have that much free time, but if it's something that you think will be valuable, or you think that there's a better way of doing these types of kind of hangout office hour sessions, let me know. But that's something that I'm thinking about providing for you guys. And then for Slack, we'd like to make sure that you guys are having meaningful discussions on there if that's something that you um, want and need. So I'll be posting at the beginning of each week a question or something that's like thought provoking or an article to promote discussion amongst you guys or a resource, depending on like what's going on that month, either within the program or in the program timeline, like recruitment or workshops or whatever. Um, it's just something fun, posting pictures on there is cool too. Just making sure that we're all sharing like what's going on and um, yeah. So that's something that I'm hoping we can do on Slack. And then the local accelerators piece, I got some responses from you guys, so thank you for that. What we're trying to do is build more partnerships in your communities so that girls have opportunities to stay engaged after they become alumni of the program. So if you know of any organizations that you would be interested in, or the girls in your community would be interested in connecting with, it could be like a startup incubator, it could be a co-working space, it could be any number of things. Send over that information, even if it's just the name, and we'll do the work on the calling them and trying to figure out how it could work out. But really, it's an opportunity that we want to make sure that you guys are offered. So, any ideas that you have, please send them over. Um, any questions on any of those three areas?
Oh, sorry, can I just say something?
Sure.
Um, oh, can you hear me? Or
Yes.
um, so when I was doing Technovation, I think 2 years ago when we was doing it in regionals, we had an office in Google somewhere. No, we had a Google office in London, And I was planning, I don't know if I could kind of use that to start up the workshop or not.
Yeah, that'd be super cool if you still have that contact as someone
Yeah.
you think to reach out to. Yeah, that'd be really awesome, I think. What do you think, Amy?
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. If you still have that contact info, definitely reach out.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Jasmine.
Thanks.
Hi, Amy.
Hello.
Okay, Amy, actually, there's a workshop, an organization over here in Calabar where I stay. It's called Girls Power Initiative. So that's like my target audience. I was able to reach out to the organization and talk to 21 girls who are interested in Technovation. So I was planning to also go into secondary schools and work with after school academy. I don't know if that's all right.
Cool.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, if you can pre-exist already existing relationships, that's great. If you want to be daring and try to find a new one, that's great too. And if you have questions about if you've never done this before and you have questions, definitely let us know on Slack and then you guys can help each other also answer those questions.
Yeah.
And Amy, I wanted to
Yeah,
find out.
no, you can go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to find out if, as a student ambassador, we're going to receive any form of stipend because, like, for our transportation, organizing the workshop, and any other events we want to do.
Stipend.
I'm gonna defer to Crystal here because she's gonna be working with you guys to understand the costs that might be incurred or might arise when you guys bring students to either meetings or events.
Right. Yeah. So my understanding before is that Technovation clubs will have a budget for operating costs.
Hmm.
Um, so we will determine those individually, depending on your region and the size of your club and the specific needs of each one. So if you have questions about that, feel free to email them to me, and then we'll discuss it internally with the team, and then um, group
And
something.
one last thing, I
Uh,
also found, like, no, sorry, Sergio, just one last thing.
yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I also found out about a technology company over here, and I'm planning to partner with them to see how they can help us with the coaches and all that. And also, we're planning to, the master educator, Grace Hejamaizu, she's also in Calabar with me. So I'm planning to work with her to see how we can organize a technovation club that will comprise of various teams in it. So we'll start with one Technovation club, then by next year, we'll have different Technovation clubs in different secondary schools. So that is like the major plan.
Yeah, that's sort of what we're planning to do in India as well, have sort of a mini Technovation club in each school. I think I emailed Amy and Crystal about that if you guys got time to read that.
Hmm. Yeah, that
So
sounds
that's
awesome.
Yeah, so I just wanted two requests in a sense. The first is if you could email me the contact details of all the girls who've done Technovation from India in the past year so that I could sort of create a community and, get them involved and, because we know it best, right, since we've done it and to get those girls more involved with it and get them to, mentor teams and do things like that would be great. So if you have that on your database, that would be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's a great idea, Sejal. I
yeah.
can check about that.
Yeah. And just one more thing. So I spoke to a few professionals, women mostly from Google and Tesco and other companies, and they seem pretty excited. So a lot of them have, they've consented. I've connected with them on LinkedIn, and they're ready to fix me up a meeting with like the concerned people in their companies. So I was just wondering how I should go about that, and how I should sort of portray Technovation to them, and yeah, any feedback on that and any suggestions in a sense on how I can go about doing that.
Sure. Amy, do you want to jump in?
I'm sorry, I was taking notes. Could you repeat that question?
So yeah, I spoke to a few females in general from companies like Google and Tesco and things like that, and they seem pretty excited about what we're doing, and I explained my plans to them and everything. So what they've done is they're ready to fix me up a meeting with like the concerned people in their companies, so that we could take it to a sort of a more formal level, the association. So how do I really go about those meetings, and how do I portray Technovation to them? So any suggestions on that?
This is a really great question, Sajal, and I know that our development team is working on a fundraising toolkit. And that's not to say that we expect you guys to fundraise, but it's going to have suggestions about how you can approach companies, what is good language to use, like language that our team has already vetted, and especially the people on our team who are experts at this. So I'm at least working on creating a webinar just to talk about this fundraising toolkit. And when I know details about that, I'll definitely share it out with the student ambassadors too.
Oh
Hi
yeah.
guys, this is Magvi here. Sorry to jump in.
Okay.
So I've been listening in. Sorry, I've not been very active. I know Crystal and Amy are doing a good job. But just to talk about that piece, and this is for Sejal and for everybody else as well. As Amy said, we are developing a toolkit for you, which is also going to have a component of fundraising as well to it. But I just wanted to bring up one thing, and that's in the works. So, which doesn't mean that, and I know some of you are like Sejal said, like she was already in touch with these people. So I know these things can't wait for us to give you the toolkit. So I would say that like you should continue interacting with them. But one thing that we should look at doing, all of us, and that's how we like usually look at like the Technovation culture is, a huge piece of it is relationship building. So it's not only about like going and asking them for money, but it's also when we talk to them, we need to be very strong in portraying to them what value this program brings to them. So it's not only about, you should do this because you're helping girls and things like that, but it's also a value that we are bringing to the company about their involvement with the community and building the community and giving back to the community. So a couple of things, and I personally think fundraising should be the last part of this conversation. It should start with the relationship building piece. So few things that I think everybody, if you can ask to local tech companies is, would you like your staff to be involved as mentors? That is the best way to pay it forward. It's so amazing to mentor girls and teams. You all can talk about your experience of how you benefited from the mentoring relationship. So the first idea would be to get them involved and excited about the program by asking them would they be interested in mentoring. Because if their staff doesn't have the mentoring experience, it's very unlikely that they're going to support us with funds. That's one way to start the conversation. The other piece would be, would they be excited to hold a panel discussion? If you have local teams, you would want to take a bunch of these girls to these offices and ask the women there to share about their tech experience, about just like how did they land up there, what they find exciting in their jobs. So panel discussions could be another thing. The other thing could be like when you're doing your launch workshops, and also you don't have to think about regional pitch events yet, but just in case, those could be opportunities where these tech companies could host these events for you, so that you could be like, we're doing launch workshops sometime in fall. We can give you more details. Would you be interested in supporting us with providing space and speakers for that? Moving forward, they can also provide judges for the events, obviously. And the last thing, I think, once you feel comfortable that that relationship is built, that trust is there, they are invested in the program, uh, then you can talk about the money piece, and that's basically the toolkit piece that we are developing. Like, what are the levels, what cost it takes to support one Technovation team? Things like you can have a branded, like a Google Technovation team in Bangalore, so you can like support 5 teams and get the branding for that. So that's also a little tricky part, and we can help you provide training with that. But my suggestion, and sorry, this is a long answer to your question, Sejal, but my suggestion would be that we all focus on the relationship building piece and find out what they are interested in supporting us, like what resonates with them the most, rather than just going out and saying like, these are the things that we want. But it's like, what do you want? How, like, this is a community building program. How would you like to be involved in it? and then see, how it fits in. And we all will learn during this process. And that is why we have you on the ground, because we need that feedback also of how they want to be involved, and then we can become more creative about it. So I to build the relationship and get more feedback on how they would like to be involved and they would like to support Technovation. And in the meantime, our team will prepare a more robust toolkit and written documentation. The one thing that we can do initial, we can send, and I don't know if all of you have it, but we should send them that Technovation brochure, which is something that you can attach in your initial email that covers a lot about what the program is, the numbers. And we are also working on a sample email, which will be coming your way shortly when you are having these conversations. So that would be my initial suggestions, but I know it's not very robust. So we are working on a written documentation to help you support in that piece. Is that helpful? Do you have specific questions around that?
No, that seems great. I'll go ahead with it. I'll start, sort of fixing up the meetings, and then as they actually draw nearer and we fix up a date, I'll sort of maybe Slack message you or something and get in on the really specifics of how I'm going to go about it.
Sure. Right.
Yeah, and I also suggest that we also get flyers and materials so that when we're talking to these people, we can use that as an evidence to show what Technovation is all about.
Yeah. So we should send Crystal, just let us make sure that we send the brochure to everybody so that they know. And we'll have other promotional materials that's in the work. So you'll have a student recruitment flyer, a mentor recruitment flyer, all that coming your way in early September. We are creating all that as well. So we will be sending that your way shortly. And just in case, and I'm not sure, I haven't followed all the conversations that have happened here. When you're talking to these people, for us to let them know that formally the season of the registration is going to open October 1st. And we will also send you a timeline of the program. So when registration is opening, what is happening, when the workshops are going to happen, when is the tentative submission dates and all that, so that you can pace your conversations according to the program timeline. So that should also be coming your way in a week. So that will help you pace the conversations as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Crystal and Amy, back to you guys.
Thank you, Audrey. Super helpful. I mentioned to them earlier in the call that all these materials and timeline would be available in that Google Drive shared folder for them to access all in one place as they become available. So just to make sure that it's easy for them to find.
Amy, like the girls I got from GPI Girls Plan Initiative, I don't know the next step to take. Whether I should just keep them waiting till October, or I should tell them everything and get them to start thinking about ideas and stuff like that till the registration process is open.
Yeah, I'm going to let Crystal answer this because it's a pretty general question for sure. Yeah.
If the girls are interested now, I don't see any harm to starting the process of getting them thinking about what ideas they have for challenges to solve before the curriculum is available.
I just had a small suggestion for you, Grace. I do got one or two teams that have, they've come to me and they've said that they want to start doing Technovation already. So what I suggested to them was, rather than brainstorm for an idea, to just, be more observant and sort of look for problems in community. So what I tell them to do is, probably at the end of a week or at the end of 2 weeks to, come to me and give a list of problems that they've identified in community. So once the Technovation season actually starts, when we're going to brainstorm on how we can use an app, how we could solve that problem using a mobile application. But for now, I think what you should get them to do is to just, sort of look around and, they might find a problem that they didn't even realize existed before. So, just be more observant and, just
exactly. That's exactly what I plan to do. Exactly.
And one more suggestion, sorry, hi guys, this is Madhvi again. One suggestion, and I know this this was mentioned in your initial training as well, but another thing that all of you can look and explore into doing is people who are interested in starting early. And if you have a decent size of group, like if you have a decent quorum, I would suggest even trying to do a screening of the Code Girl, because that will give them a whole idea of what the program is, get them excited if you haven't done that, and if you can like find a space and enough girls to do that. A screening of Code Girl would, I guess, also be a good starting point to get the girls excited while even while they're not working on the actual content. But I would also second what Sejal said, like, even thinking about those ideas, or even researching what are the most popular apps in their community that people use, like doing that kind of survey would be great. But and Code Girl could obviously be another option.
Yeah, so
But about the Code Girl,
that's okay. Go ahead.
about the Code Girl, I was actually waiting to gather the whole team first before they can watch the Code Girl together, or should I do it individually, like the teams that I have right now? Should I allow them to watch it, then later on they can watch again?
I think they can watch it individually, that's fine. But I would say, like, if you have, that's why I said if you have a sizable group, you can obviously get them together and ask them to watch it, because part of the program is also the sense of team building and community building. So you get a different vibe when you're watching it alone versus when you're watching it with others. And you can do like a small exercise after it, like share out what did you think, and or like, create like a fun thing after post documentary watching. But I would say that would be a good way to just like kick off getting to know each other and the program as well. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
Okay.
yeah, there's also
Yeah.
questions that we can share with you. So I definitely encourage watching it in a group, but it can be done individually.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that is actually going to be better.
Any other questions in this Q&A portion? Nope. Okay. Thank you, Madhuri and Amy. You guys are awesome resources. So the last thing is just going over the action items for next month. I already mentioned the Slack activity, so I'll just be posting, and hopefully we'll be having casual weekly discussion. The first monthly report is due Monday, September 26th. The action plans are due next Friday, final, and then I'll give you feedback by the following week.
Do you know what date it is, Crystal?
Sorry?
What is the date next Friday? Is it the 2nd of September?
Yeah, yes, it's the 2nd.
Okay.
Yeah, and the following Friday is September 9th. And then I'm hoping to get some of your ideas for your workshop by mid-September. So once we connect you with your master educator or with an adult in your area that will be a good resource for you as you're planning these workshops, hopefully you can get some good ideas down and then send them in, and we can work on making those happen. And then the last thing was to on our end to connect you with
the internet just stopped working.
Your master educator.
Oh.
That's it. That's all I have on my end. Ta-da!
Any questions, guys, before we say goodbye?
No question for now. So we're going to send you our action plan via email, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then, as Amy mentioned, if you need further guidance, the pages 11 through 13 in the student workbook should be helpful. And I sent that out before, but I will save it in that Google Drive folder and then share that folder with you guys today, along with any notes from this meeting and this presentation. Cool. All right.
Wait, Chris was asking where you can get Code Girl. There's a website called codegirlmovie.com.
Oh, okay.
Krisha's local. I think if we have a copy, we can probably just mail it to you.
Yes.
Is that the website for the Code Girl video?
Oh, the website. Can you put it in the chat? Do you have it?
Yeah, I did. So it's codegirlmovie.com.
Okay.
And if you are going to show it, and if you do need to pay, definitely keep track of your expenses and what you've been spending because we'll probably be reimbursing you for stuff like that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for attending the meeting today, making time in your schedules. I'm really excited to kick everything off, and I look forward to seeing you guys on Slack and in my inbox. And next month, on September, I think September 30th will probably be the meeting. Oh yeah, and then one last thing I forgot to include is I'm gonna send out a poll. You gather some times that work for you guys. Uh, I know this is kind of tough with people starting school and everything, and then all the time zones. So I just want to gauge where everyone's at about the time meeting, and then hopefully adjust if needed for the next month.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Yep.
Bye,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
We miss you.
Bye. You too.
Bye. Have a great rest of your
Bye.
week. See you.
You too.
Bye. Take care. Bye, Amy.
Bye.
And Mavi.